Hello, everyone. Good morning for all of you. I hope you all are in such a good condition. Bless you all. Today, we from Group 3 would like to present a presentation, a guide for young debaters with the title Arguments on Debate. Actually, arguments for debate. This presentation will be delivered by me. My name is Kalistus Gaudensius Ogilvie Daut, and second will deliver by Komalawati, and the third will be delivered by Anggi Kianturi. And the big title is Arguments on Debate. Okay, let's moving on. Okay, we have an outline here. Today's discussion, as you can see on the slide, there are three main cores for this presentation. The first one, what is argument? Second one, such things that debaters should know, and the third one, things that should be known in making argumentation, in making such a good argumentation for the debaters. Okay, next slide. This is such a words of inspiration for all of us, for as young people that still learning and deliver arguments. This kind of words of inspiration is said by Desmond Tutu, addressed at the Nelson Mandela Foundation in Houghton, Johannesburg, South Africa, 23rd November 2004. He says that don't raise your voice, improve your argument. And we strongly believe that this statement, this kind of words of inspiration is very, very true. We agree with it. And I believe personally this is a beautiful quote, because in such a deliver argument or in debate, if we raise our voice, it will be it will be make such bad things or such a bad situation for the debate, because it makes us feel like we don't have the situation, we don't we don't master the matter, the problem. That's why we should instead of raise our voice, we should search some data, search some fact, so that we can support our arguments with those data, so we can deliver our argument precisely and strictly and on point and so on. Because a lot of people, when they don't have a lot of fact, of a lot of data, they will talking talking something that there is no point on that, and that's why they will raise their voice because that is the only thing they can do instead of deliver data or fact to support their argument. That's why I believe that this this statement is true. It's very, very true, and we have to learn from this. As a young people, young generation, we should know how to deliver our arguments so that people can take our arguments and consider our arguments and can pursue them, and also they can do what our argument says, or they can imagine, or they can take the arguments and bring it on heart. We never know. Okay, let's move on. Okay, what is an argument? Argument is a strong word. It's complicated actually to define this word, but here we conclude, we make it simple. We believe that argument is a reason or set of reason given with the aim of persuading others that an action or idea is right or wrong. When we want someone to be on our side, we should give them a fact, a reason why they have to be in our group, or in our part, or in our argumentation. That is the the basic and the value of the arguments, so that what is we deliver to us, they can find the reason, they can they can find the ideas from it. That is why it's important to us to deliver an argument, or to deliver arguments with persuading others. Is arguments actually a reason, a basic reason to persuade others that the arguments we deliver is true, is or wrong. And also, to make a good argument, actually we have to read a lot of, and we have to write along, make our critical thinking works. That's enough for the definition. We move on to the next one. Okay, in this part we talk about how significant argument is on a debate. Okay, arguments are actually part of the matter presented by the debater. The debater must have a good argument to win the debate. To win the debate is not only by the content of the argument, but also how we delivering the argument. The manner is also crucial as an argument mediator, because it determines whether or not the message of the debater's arguments arrives. So it's not only the content of the arguments, but also how we delivering. It's also important to the debater to have. Manner is also such a important thing in debating, because it will cause our point. The judges also will count on it. So In argument, also the critical thinking ability of each debater is very crucial. It's not only the content of the argument, it's not only the manner, it's also the critical thinking, how we think. It will be counted by the judges, because if we have a critical thinking, it will be make our arguments effective, and also it can be touched directly on people who are listening to us. And also this, I have to mention this because the same argument will be have a different message if it is carried by different people with different manner. That is why important to have a manner on deliver arguments, because if we deliver with different manner, it will be a different meaning. That's why we have to master the manner of speaking, of standing, or how we delivering the content, the critical thinking. This can happen because it's influenced by the manner of each debater. In this slide, I would say that the important thing that we should know that four things. First, the content of the argument. It must be effective. Second, the manner. We should know how to deliver our arguments. Third, the critical thinking. The critical thinking ability will be make our argument effective, efficient, and so on. And the fourth, the different manner in deliver arguments will be bring a different meaning to the people who listen to us. So make these 4 points carried out in the good way. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. Okay, here we have things that debater should know. 1. Debate is a skill habituation process. Debate is not a quick way to learning something. It's a long process. We should bring patience on it. We should be patient. We have to keep in mind that it's not a quick learning. It's a long process. We have to learning part by part. Second, debate must be enjoyed, the process and the progress. We have to enjoy it. If we don't feel enjoy of learning something, I personally believe it will go out again. It will never come to our mind or come to our heart, because we do the thing without enjoying it. We must enjoy it. We learning it as a hobby. If we learning as a hobby, it will be come along with us, come around with us, come to our heart, come to our mind. And the third, debate involves reading a lot. Yeah, it's true, I believe, because a lot of good debaters or good speaker out there of the world, of the Indonesian speaker, they read a lot. It's not something that pop up quickly to the mind. It's a long process. They read a lot. They search some sorts of fact, of opinion of others. They watch newspaper. They watch news on television. They read news on newspaper. it's not a quick, it's not like it's not a simple, it's a long process. So we have to be patient on it. We have to read a lot, write a lot. It's the only thing that make our critical thinking ability improve. And the fourth one is don't hesitate to ask. We have to ask people, whatever it is. If we have question, we have to ask to people that maybe they know the answer. Ask something, always asking, because that is also the way how we thinking. If we curious about something and we find out the answer, it will be planted in our mind. It never goes around. It will be in our heart until we die, I guess. So it's the four things that we suggest to you all to keep in mind. That the main thing that I would say that debate is not a quick process. The skill of debate is a long process. So we have to patient. We have to read a lot. We have to keep practicing. We have to make a lot of practicing, I guess. I think that's all. And this slide will be this slide and the next slide will be presented by my friend Komala and Anggi Kianturi. Thank you so much.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Komalawati and I'm a speaker too. So, three things should be known in making arguments for speaker is first, definition of emotion, two, troubleshooting, and model setup. Okay. Definition of emotion. Debate should think about these two questions before making an argument. First, why is the motion like this? And two, what is this all about? The principles of fairness and reasonableness, and be clear and simple. Fair and reasonable definition must match the main issues in the status quo. Be brave. Don't go out of your way to the main issues. Don't make the debate set too broad. Clear and simple. No fast and straight to the point. It should be clear about the case and the proposal you are bringing in the motion. Definition using analogy is definition by analogy are definitions that take advantage of analogies and do not need to provide details of the definition. For example, is what we mean by the motion is we'd like to legalize cannabis as the same as cigarettes. In this example, the details can be left out because the details on the legalization of cigarettes are common knowledge that is widely known, and the definition that refers to specific issues. Specific definition don't require the same amount of detail as analogy definition. For example, in the assassinate dictator motion, the government simply defines the motion as here we define the motion as assassinating Robert Mugabe. With the brief definition, both the government and opposite team already understand what the government is asking for because knowledge about Robert Mugabe is common knowledge in international issues. Troubleshooting. The problem setup is very important, especially for the affirmative team, because it is the foundation of the affirmative argument. The clearer the problem sound, the stronger the foundation of the argument broke. On the other hand, the text for the opposition team is the opposite of affirmation, which is to show that there is no problem with the status quo. And there are three components to the problem setup. First, crisis. Crisis is a bad thing or problem that occurs in the status quo. And two, trend. In contrast to a crisis, a trend is a tendency where the crisis will get worse if left unchecked. And the last, tipping out. Combination of crisis and trend. Here the debater must explain that not only bad and getting worse, but it is unacceptable, and those things are not allowed to get any worse. For example, a crisis, Zimbabwe is systematically oppressed on a decade. B. People in Zimbabwe are living behind poverty line, and the trends are the problem of poverty does not happen because Zimbabwe is poor, but it is caused by Robert Mugabe, who is actively destroying the country and lack of respect of people will in Zimbabwe. And the tipping point is cholera and humanitarian crisis happen. That is why we should step in, protect, and restore the democracy in Zimbabwe. And how to the opposite should respond. Okay. Things are not that bad. First, thinking status quo is okay can be applied in viewing motions. 2. However, that does not mean always justify the mistakes that exist and the status quo. As a first negative, we can admit the error is there, but it's not because of the system but at the level of policy execution, so that no changes are needed enough to fix the problematic part. And things are getting better. Explain that there is progress on improving the status, admitting problems, but the proposal from government is not worth the harms. This scenario is exhausted when the status quo is really full of problems and nothing good is happening in the status quo. As negatives, we cannot continue to assume that there is nothing wrong with the status quo because in some cases this can backfire. And the negative party must be able to provide other alternatives to resolve the problem on the motion. Example, to respond to the problem with the invalid Zimbabwe motion. When the problem actually occurs, we cannot ignore the problem that lie in the status quo. When this scenario occurs, the negative team must be used the third scenario, namely admitting problems, but the proposal from government is not worth any harms. And if the goal of the government is to achieve peaceful democracy, the question will be how the peaceful condition can be created by invasion. And using force or invasion will not create peaceful democratic transition. Invasion will create civil war and disaster regardless how advanced and superior the international community is. The last, to overcome problem in Zimbabwe, diplomatic approach and economic sanctions will be the best proposal in dealing with problems. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Model setup. The model, or what is commonly called the mechanism, is a process to explain in detail the proposal or motion submitted. Usually the model or mechanism is found in practical motion that usually use this household, but sometimes there are philosophical motions that also require models. Models are all about answering the what is the proposal question. In making a model, there are several basic questions that are used as a reference, including who is affected, what are you doing, where is gonna happen, how is gonna happen, and why are you going to do this. Who is affected and involved? Robert Mugabe, government and people of Zimbabwe, African Union, and international community. What are you doing? Invasion by sending troops. Where is gonna happen? Zimbabwe. How is gonna happen? Giving a appropriate deadline and destroying military base only and will be in Zimbabwe until democracy is restored. Why are you going to this? Remove Robert Mugabe from his power and restore democracy in Zimbabwe. Second speaker. The second speaker plays a role in supporting the text of the first speaker. The second speaker plays a role in supporting the text of the first speaker. 3. Starting with understanding the parameters, decide and determine the direction of the course of a motion. However, in addition to the many roles that must be carried out by the first speaker, a first speaker must also divide his duties to the second speaker. Next, the second speaker is tasked with developing arguments from the first speaker and also continuing the arguments that were presented at the beginning. There are two parts of the argument that must be conveyed by the second speaker, namely the rebuttal argument and the substantive argument. In a rebuttal argument, the second speaker conveys an argument that undermines or attacks the first speaker's argument from the opposing team. For a substantive argument, the second speaker will bring two parts that determine the argument, namely constructive argument. Third speaker have a fairly unique text because a third speaker does not have the right to present substantive argument. A third speaker only has the task of conveying rebuttal arguments and rebuttal arguments from the first and second speaker argument. The third speaker conveys two parts of the rebuttal argument, namely the global or overall rebuttal, addressing the philosophy or theme line of the opposing team, and the convincing rebuttal on details fact. Meanwhile, for the rebuttal argument, a third speaker is tasked with rebuilding the arguments that have been attracted by the opposing team. By paying attention that third speaker are prohibited from bringing new arguments and only rebuilding their arguments only with the arguments that have been presented by the first and second speaker. On the other hand, a third speaker can only convince by providing analogies, new illustration, and some examples for cases related to motion. Basic argument structure. First, claim. Present your argument in a clear statement. This claim is one reason why you are in favor of or against the motion. Second, evidence. The evidence supporting your claim, such as statistic, reference, quotes, analogies, etc. Third, impact. Explain the significance of the evidence. How does this support your claim? Okay, thank you for listening.